Hollywood used to be the untouchable kingdom of Western elites, but fast forward to 2026 and the entire industry is collectively losing its mind over 7 men from South Korea. What happens when the biggest blockbuster movie directors, legendary music producers, and high-fashion luxury houses go to absolute war, throwing literal blank checks and begging just to get a single text back from a BTS member? Who is the ultimate prize that A-listers are secretly fighting over in exclusive VIP rooms? And what exactly makes these 7 kings so dangerously irresistible right now that it's causing industry-wide panic? We are peeling back the curtain on the most fiercely guarded entertainment secrets. Are you ready to uncover the classified deals, the silent rivalries, and the behind-the-scenes chaos that have the Western entertainment world on its knees? Number 7. Jin, the Silver Screen Diamond, a global bidding war. When we talk about visual perfection combined with an untapped reservoir of raw theatrical talent, the conversation immediately stops at Kim Suk-jin. For years, Hollywood casting directors have been heavily monitoring the eldest member of BTS, fully aware that beneath his globally recognized, worldwide handsome persona lies a classically trained actor who graduated from the prestigious Konkuk University's Department of Film and Visual Arts. Fast forward to 2026, and the landscape has violently shifted. It is no longer just about offering him a friendly cameo or a brief background appearance. It is an all-out bloodbath among top-tier production houses like A24, Warner Bros., and Marvel Studios to secure Jin for leading roles that could entirely redefine cinematic history. Imagine the sheer magnitude of power it takes to have veteran Oscar-winning directors flying out to Seoul on their private jets, sitting in the Hybe lobby, sipping lukewarm coffee, just praying for a 10-minute pitch meeting with Jin. Word on the street in Beverly Hills is that 2 of the biggest names in Hollywood, think the level of Denis Villeneuve and Christopher Nolan, literally had a screaming match at a closed-door Cannes after-party over who gets to cast Jin as the enigmatic lead in their next billion-dollar sci-fi epic. Why? Because Jin doesn't just bring the army, he brings an emotional gravitas, a nuanced facial expression mastery that speaks volumes without a single line of dialogue. Let's take a deeply emotional step back and look at his journey. This is the man who enlisted first, carrying the weight of the world and his younger brothers on his shoulders, facing the bitter cold of Yeoncheon, only to return with a matured, razor-sharp aura that completely shattered the internet. Hollywood executives are not blind to this narrative of resilience and leadership. They see a leading man who has lived through unimaginable global pressure, someone who can anchor a blockbuster franchise while carrying a profound emotional depth. But it doesn't stop at movies. The luxury fashion world is literally tearing itself apart over him. Heritage brands that have existed for over a century are breaking their own cardinal rules, offering Jin creative director titles, not just global ambassador roles, just to get him to wear their bespoke suits on the Oscars red carpet. What is it about Jin that makes seasoned A-list actors feel threatened, yet utterly mesmerized? Is it his flawless comedic timing, his deeply hidden vulnerability, or the fact that he could launch a movie to $1 billion in the box office simply by raising his eyebrow on a poster? The absolute chaos surrounding his Hollywood debut is an unprecedented phenomenon. Producers are reportedly offering blank checks, telling his management, name the price, name the co-stars, name the filming location, just get him on our set. Let us not forget the sheer emotional devastation he caused with his solo tracks like Epiphany and The Astronaut, songs that proved he knows exactly how to manipulate an audience's heartstrings until they're sobbing in the aisles. Hollywood wants that exact emotional manipulation on the silver screen. They want the guy who can make you laugh hysterically in one scene and shatter your soul into 1,000,000 pieces in the next. An anonymous casting director from a major streaming giant recently leaked to an Insider magazine that they had a marketing budget of $50 million set aside just to announce his casting if they could secure Jin for a neo-noir thriller. Think about that for a second. $50 million just for an announcement. The traditional Hollywood elite are shaking because they have never seen an individual wield this much organic, untethered power. Western actors are currently hiring specific PR teams just to angle for a supporting role next to him, hoping to catch a fraction of the gravitational pull he generates. And the most terrifying part for Hollywood, Jin is taking his absolute time. He's not rushing into any generic, stereotypic Asian roles that Western media used to hand out like scraps. He's reading scripts, rejecting multi-million-dollar offers before breakfast, and making the entire industry sweat through their designer suits. He knows his worth, and he knows that the first movie he chooses will cause a global cinematic earthquake. Have you ever seen a man hold an entire billion-dollar industry hostage simply by being selective? It is a masterclass in power dynamics and quiet confidence. While other celebrities are begging for auditions, paying publicists millions to get their names in the trades, Jin is casually rejecting scripts that top Hollywood actors would literally kill for, all while gaming or fishing on his days off. The emotional resonance of this monumental shift cannot be understated. We're talking about an artist from South Korea who once had to hand out flyers in Los Angeles just to get people to attend a free hip-hop concert, now having the absolute top echelon of Los Angeles royalty bowing at his feet, desperately trying to decode the secret to his unparalleled magnetism. The whispers in the industry suggest that his upcoming debut role is so heavily guarded that scripts are being hand-delivered by armed couriers, complete with self-destructing digital files to prevent leaks. It sounds like a spy movie itself, doesn't it? But this is the stark, undeniable reality of 2026. Kim Suk-jin is no longer just a worldwide handsome pop star. He is the most sought-after leading man on the planet, a cinematic unicorn who holds the absolute power to dictate the future of Hollywood blockbusters for the next decade. Let's dig even deeper into the psychology of this obsession. Hollywood thrives on the concept of the next big thing, but Jin has completely bypassed that phase. He arrived in their consciousness not as a rising star, but as an established emperor. Top-tier actresses who usually only share the screen with the likes of Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio are reportedly having their agents flood Hybe's legal team with preemptive chemistry read requests. They know that starring alongside Kim Suk-jin guarantees not just box office dominance, but instant cultural immortality. There are even rumors circulating in the exclusive country clubs of Calabasas that a legendary music producer known for crafting the greatest movie soundtracks of the 21st century has vowed to come out of retirement solely to compose the score for Jin's debut film. The synergy of his heavenly silver-toned vocals blending with a multi-million-dollar visual spectacle is a dream for any studio executive who wants to sweep the Academy Awards. And what about the physical preparation? Paparazzi have been losing their minds camping out near elite stunt training facilities in Seoul, trying to catch a glimpse of Jin potentially training for an action-heavy role. If he decides to go the action hero route, combining his undeniable physical proportions, his broad shoulders that have their own dedicated fan bases, and his sharp intellect, he would single-handedly bankrupt the current roster of Hollywood action stars. The fear is palpable. A prominent American talk show host was recently caught off mic saying that the entire industry is walking on eggshells, afraid to greenlight their own big projects until Jin makes his move, because no one wants their premiere to compete with his theatrical debut. It's the kind of monopolistic star power that hasn't existed since the golden age of Hollywood, and yet here it is, embodied by a 33-year-old South Korean icon who still treats his fans to chaotic, unfiltered live streams in his pajamas. The duality of his existence, the unreachable elite cinematic god, and the deeply humble, hilariously relatable oldest brother of BTS is exactly the lethal combination that has the Western entertainment world completely paralyzed. They can't manufacture his charm, they can't replicate his journey, and they sure as hell can't control him. As we sit here in 2026, watching the chaos unfold, we have to ask ourselves, when the dust finally settles on this unprecedented Hollywood battlefield, what kind of masterpiece will Kim Suk-jin deliver to the world, and will the film industry ever be the same again?
Number 6.
Suga, the godfather of global sound, a musical monopoly. When you think of the absolute pinnacle of musical genius, the kind of raw, unfiltered brilliance that dictates the heartbeat of global pop culture, the industry's compass violently and unapologetically points toward Min Yoongi. We are living in the year 2026, and the Western music industry is currently experiencing a full-blown existential crisis because the ultimate power to guarantee a Grammy-winning, Billboard-shattering, culturally defining hit no longer resides in the high-rise boardrooms of Los Angeles or New York. It is locked securely behind the biometric doors of the Genius Lab in Seoul. The desperation among A-list celebrities is palpable, and the behind-the-scenes warfare to secure a Pride Suga credit has reached terrifying heights, with rumors swirling that one of the biggest pop divas on the planet literally delayed her highly anticipated studio album for an entire year just because she is still on the wait list for a Min Yoongi beat. Have you ever stopped to fully comprehend the sheer, unadulterated flex of holding the entire Western music monopoly hostage without ever leaving your studio chair? Let us take a deeply emotional, reflective journey back to where this titan started, because to understand the Hollywood obsession with Suga, you have to understand the blood, sweat, and literal tears that forged him. This is the boy from Daegu who once had to choose between eating a bowl of jjajangmyeon or taking the bus home, who sold his painstakingly crafted beats for mere pennies just to survive, and who shattered his shoulder in a tragic delivery accident, hiding the agonizing pain from his company because he was terrified his dreams would be ripped away. Fast forward to today, and those same hands that once gripped a delivery bike steering wheel in the freezing rain are now holding the literal keys to the global music kingdom. The emotional whiplash of his trajectory is something out of a cinematic masterpiece, which is exactly why Hollywood film executives are relentlessly hunting him down. It is no longer just about pop music collaborations. Legendary Oscar-winning directors known for dark, gritty, psychological thrillers, think the minds behind movies like The Batman or Joker, are reportedly offering him astronomical blank-check contracts to compose entire original film scores. They have listened to the aggressive, spitfire anger of a Gus D. They have wept to the vulnerable, soul-crushing honesty of Amygdala, and they have realized that Yoongi possesses a terrifyingly rare ability to translate complex human trauma and cinematic darkness into a sonic masterpiece. He doesn't just make music, he creates entire atmospheric universes. But the most maddening part for the Western elite? Min Yoongi cannot be bought. You cannot throw $1 million advance at him and expect a track by Friday. He operates on an entirely different frequency, a philosophy of absolute artistic integrity, where he only collaborates with artists he genuinely respects, artists who have a story to tell, artists who are willing to strip away their Hollywood egos and bare their souls in the recording booth. Do you realize how absolutely infuriating this is for multi-billion-dollar record labels who are used to buying anyone and anything? Western megastars are currently hiring specialized networking teams just to figure out how to organically bump into him, studying his past collaborations with Halsey, Juice WRLD, Coldplay, and Psy like sacred religious texts, desperately trying to decode the secret algorithm of his approval. Some of the most famous rappers in America are publicly throwing hints on social media, practically begging for a rap feature, because they know that trading bars with a Gus D is the ultimate street cred validation in 2026. And let's talk about the fashion world, because the luxury fashion houses are violently clashing over his signature rock star grunge aesthetic. Valentino secured him as their Divas ambassador, but the contract renewals in 2026 have sparked a vicious bidding war among rival heritage brands who are desperate to capture that effortless, brooding, I just woke up, drank a glass of whiskey, and produced a masterpiece energy that Yoongi exudes. He is the ultimate paradox that Hollywood cannot solve. A quiet, introverted man who loves his acoustic guitar, hosts a humble drinking show,
vibrato and speaks with profound philosophical wisdom, yet can transform into a fiery, stadium-commanding hip-hop god who spits venom at his haters in front of 90,000 screaming fans. When he returned from his military service, the industry expected him to take a moment to recalibrate, but instead, he returned with a sharpened, lethal edge, an aura of a veteran who has seen the absolute bottom of the abyss and conquered the highest peaks of the world. He has transcended the title of a K-pop idol. He is now regarded as an untouchable musical deity. The whisper networks in the industry claim that getting an email from his team is currently considered a higher honor than receiving a Grammy nomination, and music executives are completely losing their minds trying to navigate this new world order. We are watching an underdog story that has evolved into an empire. A man who turned his deepest scars, his depression, and his rage into a musical monopoly that has the West completely on its knees. What kind of groundbreaking, genre-defying masterpiece is he currently cooking up in the solitary confinement of the Genius Lab, and which incredibly lucky A-list superstar will be the next chosen one to be elevated by the golden touch of Min Yoongi?
Number 5. J-Hope, the Stage Commander, a choreographed takeover. When the stadium lights go down, the crowd's roar reaches a deafening pitch, and the stage rumbles with anticipation. There is only one man who commands the atmosphere with the sheer, terrifying precision of a military general and the fluid, untamed grace of a street dance deity. We are talking about Jungkook, the undisputed king of performance, and in 2026, the Western live entertainment industry is in a state of absolute frantic meltdown trying to secure his genius. It is a highly classified yet poorly kept secret in the elite circles of Los Angeles that top-tier Western pop royalty, artists who routinely sell out massive global arenas, are secretly firing their entire creative teams and throwing astronomical blank check offers at his management, begging for J-Hope to act as the executive creative director for their upcoming world tours. Why? Because the West has never recovered from the cultural reset that was Hobie-Palooza back in 2022, where they watched a man single-handedly swallow a massive American festival stage whole, backed only by a live rock band and his own untouchable, explosive charisma. They realize that his brain is a literal masterclass in stage topography, pacing, and visual storytelling, and they want to buy that magic. But let us take a deeply emotional, reflective look back at the origins of this unprecedented phenomenon, because the glittering high-fashion icon we see today was forged in the gritty, sweat-soaked underground dance battles of Gwangju. Imagine a young boy named Smile Hoya pushing his body to the absolute breaking point in cramped dance studios with his crew, Neuron, battling for respect long before the glitz, the glamour, and the suffocating pressure of K-pop ever entered his orbit. He was a pure street dancer who moved to Seoul with nothing but a dream, a duffel bag, and an unrelenting work ethic, facing grueling training hours, immense physical exhaustion, and the monumental task of becoming the dance leader for a group that would eventually conquer the globe. The physical toll on his body over the years has been unimaginable. The injuries, the bruised knees, the sleepless nights. Yet he has never delivered a performance to his fans that was less than absolute perfection. This is the man who carries the legendary title of Team Leader Jung, a persona so fiercely meticulous and demanding that even his own bandmates admit to being intimidated by his eagle-eyed scrutiny during dance practices. Now fast forward to this post-military era in 2026, and that relentless perfectionism has made him the most lethal, highly coveted weapon in the global entertainment market. When he returned from his mandatory military service as a distinguished drill instructor, the West realized that his already terrifying discipline had evolved into an unstoppable, militant precision.
Hollywood film producers are not just looking at him as a musician, they are fiercely competing to cast him in the revival of the modern movie musical or high-octane street dance blockbusters. Imagine the legendary directors of modern cinematic masterpieces literally camping out in Seoul, pitching scripts that would allow Hoseok to not only star as the lead, but to completely choreograph and direct the entire visual movement. They know that his Hope on the Street documentary series wasn't just a passion project, it was a devastatingly brilliant portfolio of his global street dance diplomacy, proving he can connect with underground legends in Osaka, Paris, New York, and Seoul through the universal unspoken language of movement. And let us not even get started on the vicious, cutthroat war happening in the haute couture fashion capitals of the world. Paris Fashion Week in 2026 is essentially a glamorous battlefield where legacy fashion houses are pulling dirty tactics just to get J-Hope into their front rows or wearing their custom pieces. Louis Vuitton famously crowned him their house ambassador, but rumors are violently swirling that rival luxury conglomerates are drafting contracts with numbers so ridiculously high they look like international phone numbers, offering him entire capsule collections to design from scratch. They want the man who seamlessly blends high-end luxury with raw underground hip-hop streetwear, the man who can make a simple beanie and baggy pants look like $1 million runway masterpiece. But what truly terrifies and mesmerizes the Western industry is his psychological duality, a depth that Hollywood scriptwriters are literally trying to option into biographical dramas. For years, he was known globally as the sunshine of BTS, the ultimate mood maker with a heart-shaped smile that could melt glaciers. But then, he dropped his solo debut, Jack in the Box, pulling a grunge, dark 90s hip-hop alter ego out of the shadows, and the industry collectively gasped. He proved he wasn't just a happy-lucky dancer. He's a complex, multifaceted artist, harboring deep philosophical thoughts about human nature, ambition, and the suffocating box of extreme fame. The psychological weight of carrying the moniker J-Hope is profound, constantly having to be the radiant sun for millions of people worldwide, masking your own exhaustion and creative burnout behind a perfectly curated smile. Western celebrities are obsessed with this duality. A highly acclaimed Western hip-hop legend reportedly stated in a private Hollywood gala that J-Hope's flow and his intrinsic understanding of old-school boom-bap beats make him one of the few contemporary pop artists who actually gets the soul of hip-hop. Top-tier Broadway producers are reportedly offering to build entirely new, avant-garde theatrical stages in New York City just to house a live conceptual performance directed by and starring him, effectively attempting to buy the J-Hope experience for the Western theatrical elite. There is even a leaked email circulating among powerful music executives detailing a secret project where a massive billion-dollar streaming platform wants to give Hoseok his own global reality competition show, not to find the next generic pop star, but to find the next generation of revolutionary street dancers, with him sitting as the ultimate untouchable godfather of the culture. Do you understand the sheer magnitude of this cultural shift? Western pop culture is no longer trying to fit him into their pre-existing molds. They are completely dismantling their own systems to build a throne big enough for Jung Hoseok to sit on. The artists who once dominated the Billboard charts are now studying his past performances frame by frame, analyzing how a man who speaks English as a second language can control an ocean of 100,000 screaming fans with a single flick of his wrist or a fiercely whispered lyric. The fear among Western choreographers is very real. They are watching their own influence wane because artists don't want the standard Hollywood 8 count anymore. They want the raw, bleeding edge of Gwangju street dance mixed with high-fashion Parisian elegance, a lethal cocktail that only one man on the planet knows how to mix. So, as the biggest names in the global music, fashion, and film industries desperately try to decipher the enigma of Jungkook, we have to ask the burning questions that are keeping executives awake at night. Will he step into the Hollywood director's chair and revolutionize the cinematic approach to performance art? Will he accept the multi-million-dollar pleas from Western pop icons to salvage their failing tour concepts? Or is he currently hidden away in a dimly lit studio in Seoul, lacing up his sneakers, preparing to drop a sophomore solo project so astronomically groundbreaking that it will render the entire current pop and dance landscape entirely obsolete? Have you ever witnessed a man hold the entire heartbeat of the global live entertainment industry in the palm of his hand, dictating the rhythm of the world with a single pop and lock? The era of J-Hope is not just arriving, it has already conquered, and the rest of the world is just desperately, breathlessly trying to catch the beat.
Number 4. RM, the intellectual titan. A boardroom bloodbath. When we shift our gaze from the explosive stadium stages and cinematic silver screens to the hushed, velvet-lined boardrooms of global cultural institutions, a completely different yet equally terrifying kind of warfare is taking place. And at the dead center of this billion-dollar battlefield stands Kim Namjoon. The year is 2026, and the Western intelligentsia, ranging from the most elite publishing houses in New York to the notoriously snobbish curators of the European fine art world, are currently experiencing a collective, frantic meltdown trying to secure the signature of the man known to the globe as RM. Have you ever paused to truly comprehend the sheer, unadulterated weight of being the philosopher king of the 21st century, the structural pillar who carried the most successful musical act in human history on his remarkably broad shoulders? Let us take a deeply emotional and reflective dive into the mind of the boy from Elsan, the underground hip-hop prodigy once known as Runchronda, who grew up harboring a fierce poetic intellect that would eventually reshape global diplomacy. This is the man who taught himself fluent English by religiously watching Friends, only to find himself years later standing at the podium of the United Nations General Assembly and sitting in the Oval Office of the White House, eloquently discussing anti-Asian hate crimes and global youth empowerment, while seasoned politicians watched in absolute stunned silence. The psychological toll of being the designated speaker, the translator, the shield, and the brain of BTS for over a decade is a burden so immensely crushing that it would have shattered a lesser man. Yet Namjoon transformed that pressure into diamonds of profound lyricism and existential reflection. Now, in his post-military era, the Western entertainment and literary industries have realized that his mind is the ultimate untapped gold mine. We're talking about literal cutthroat bidding wars between the big five global publishing conglomerates, with top-tier executives reportedly offering presidential-level eight-figure advances, blank checks with staggering amounts of zeros, just to acquire the exclusive rights to his debut collection of essays, philosophical musings, or an autobiography. They know that a book penned by RM wouldn't just be a celebrity memoir, it would be a culturally defining literary event, an instant New York Times bestseller that would be studied in university sociology and literature classes for decades to come. But the desperation doesn't stop at the printing press. The global fine art market is currently entirely at his mercy. The phenomenon known as the RM effect has absolutely terrified and thrilled art dealers from London to Basel. Museum directors from the Louvre, the Met, and the Tate Modern are allegedly pulling dirty behind-the-scenes political strings, using international ambassadors to formally invite Namjoon to act as a guest curator for their upcoming blockbuster exhibitions. Why? Because they have witnessed the terrifying reality that if Kim Namjoon simply posts a silent, uncaptioned Instagram photo of himself staring at a forgotten painting in a quiet provincial gallery, that artist's work will skyrocket in value by millions of dollars overnight, and the gallery will have lines wrapping around the block for months. He is the ultimate tastemaker, a man who holds the supernatural ability to dictate the economic flow of the global art market with a single swipe of his thumb. And Hollywood has noticed this intellectual magnetism. A-list Oscar-winning directors and producers who specialize in high-concept, philosophical sci-fi epics, think the minds behind Interstellar or Dune, are reportedly begging his management to bring him on board not just for soundtrack contributions, but as a narrative consultant or co-writer, hoping to inject his deep existential understanding of humanity, nature, and art into their billion-dollar cinematic universes. Fashion houses that pride themselves on quiet luxury and intellectual aesthetics are practically going to war, throwing bespoke artisanal contracts at him, desperate to capture that effortlessly sophisticated, museum-hopping, bonsai-tending aura that he naturally exudes. It is an industry-wide panic because they simply cannot manufacture his brand of organic, profound authenticity. Western celebrities who usually rely on ghostwriters to pen their shallow tweets are currently hiring literary tutors and art history professors just to be able to hold a 5-minute intellectual conversation with him at exclusive galas, terrified of looking foolish in front of a man with an IQ of 148 who casually reads Nishi and Murakami in his waiting rooms. The ultimate paradox of RM is what makes him so dangerously irresistible to the Western elite. He is a global superstar who wields the power to move financial markets and influence millions, yet his deepest desires are agonizingly simple. To ride his bicycle along the Han River, to feel the wind, to visit quiet art galleries, and to ponder the complexities of human existence in peace. He's an old soul trapped in the high-speed, cutthroat body of the modern entertainment machine, and his solo masterpiece, Indigo, proved that he is entirely unafraid to expose his most vulnerable, conflicting emotions about fame, isolation, and his desperate search for a permanent identity beyond the roaring stadiums. As we watch this unprecedented scramble for his intellect in 2026, we are forced to ask questions that send shivers down the spines of cultural critics worldwide. Let us dig deeper into the absolute chaos this man has inadvertently caused in the philanthropic and academic sectors. The most prestigious Ivy League universities in the United States, Harvard, Yale, Oxford, and the UK, are reportedly locked in a silent, passive-aggressive war of academic grants, actively attempting to create entirely new, multi-million-dollar endowments and guest lecturer positions specifically tailored and practically begging for Namjoon to accept a residency. Imagine the sheer pandemonium of world-class professors and deans of literature desperately refreshing their emails, hoping the management of a South Korean artist will grant them a semester of his time. They have analyzed his lyrical wordplay, the way he seamlessly weaves complex Korean poetic structures with Western hip-hop cadences, creating double and triple entendres that leave professional linguists utterly baffled by his sheer linguistic dexterity. He isn't just writing songs, he's actively evolving language. Furthermore, high-end architectural firms and sustainable design conglomerates are currently flooding HYBE's legal department with proposals to partner with Namjoon on eco-friendly, brutalist-inspired urban spaces, knowing his deep-seated appreciation for architectural harmony and nature. They want to monetize his aesthetic, his Namjooning lifestyle, turning his personal ethos of finding peace in the chaotic modern world into a global, multi-billion-dollar wellness and design empire. The fear among traditional Western thought leaders is palpable because they are suddenly being outperformed by a man who doesn't even play their political games. He doesn't need to shout to be heard. His silence speaks volumes, and his deliberate, measured actions dictate the cultural tides. When he was discharged from the military, the international media didn't just ask when his next album was coming out. They asked what he was reading, what he was thinking, and where he was going next. The gravity he holds is simply unmatched. Will Kim Namjoon accept these astronomical literary deals and release a book that will completely alter the landscape of modern philosophy and pop culture memoirs? Will he curate an art exhibition so profoundly moving that it permanently bridges the gap between Eastern heritage and Western classicism? Or is he simply sitting in a quiet, sunlit room right now, watering his beloved bonsai trees, completely unbothered by the billions of dollars and Hollywood executives desperately waiting outside his door? The era of the intellectual idol has arrived, and the entire world is holding its breath, waiting for RM to speak his next word. Number 3. Jimin, the ethereal muse, a global meltdown. When we speak of a gravitational pull so undeniably intoxicating that it blurs the lines between art, music, and high fashion, the entire global entertainment industry collectively bows down to Park Jimin. It is the year 2026, and the Western world is currently locked in a state of absolute, feverish panic over a man who possesses the lethal duality of a classical swan and a modern-day rock god. To truly grasp the sheer magnitude of the bloodbath happening behind closed doors in Hollywood and Paris right now, we must take a deeply emotional, reflective journey back to the very beginning. This is not just a story of a pop star. This is the staggering evolution of the top student from the Busan High School of Arts, a contemporary dance prodigy who left his coastal hometown with a heart full of desperate dreams, only to face the crushing reality of Seoul's cutthroat trainee system. Imagine the sheer psychological endurance of a teenager who was almost cut from the final debut lineup of BTS multiple times, a boy who subjected himself to agonizing, sleep-deprived nights, practicing in cold studios until 4 a.m., surviving on barely any food just to mold himself into the absolute image of perfection. He transformed his deepest insecurities and his relentless pursuit of flawlessness into a weapon so powerful that it now has the entire Western elite begging on their knees. Fast forward to this monumental post-military era, and the world is witnessing a mature, devastatingly confident Jimin who has completely shattered the outdated, hyper-masculine stereotypes of the Western industry. He is the man who made history as the first South Korean soloist to hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with Like Crazy, a synth-pop masterpiece that proved he didn't need a massive Western feature to conquer the American charts. He just needed his own hauntingly beautiful androgynous vocal tone and a hypnotic beat. Today, the desperation among A-list Western pop icons is palpable. We are talking about legendary American and British vocalists, the kind of artists who have defined the last decade of pop and R&B, literally having their management teams camp out in Hybe's lobbying spaces, offering astronomical, open-ended collaboration contracts. They are obsessed with his vocal color, a rare angelic countertenor that can instantly inject a profound, aching vulnerability into any track. But the chaos extends far beyond the recording studio. The luxury fashion world is essentially a live war zone right now because of him. While he previously made global headlines as the global ambassador for Dior and Tiffany & Co., the 2026 contract renewal season has sparked an underground multi-million-dollar bidding war among rival heritage houses like Chanel, Saint Laurent, and Givenchy. They are reportedly offering him unprecedented titles, not just as a face to wear their clothes, but as a co-creative director for exclusive gender-fluid capsule collections. These multi-billion-dollar conglomerates have realized that Jimin doesn't just wear fashion, he embodies it, turning every airport walkway and red carpet into a high-art editorial masterpiece. His ability to seamlessly blend soft, delicate elegance with an intensely fierce, intimidating aura is a phenomenon that Western celebrities are desperately trying to emulate, hiring entire teams of stylists to decode the Jimin effect, only to realize that his magnetic allure is completely unmanufacturable. And then there is the absolute frenzy within Hollywood's cinematic inner circles. Visionary, Oscar-winning directors who specialize in visually extravagant, emotionally devastating masterpieces, think the atmospheric genius of Baz Luhrmann or the haunting aesthetics of Denis Villeneuve, are allegedly drafting original scripts entirely centered around his persona. They do not want him for a standard pop star cameo. They want to cast him as an ethereal, enigmatic lead in dark fantasy epics or modern romantic tragedies, fully aware that his background in contemporary dance allows him to express profound agony, passion, and longing through the mere tilt of his head or the extension of his fingertips. Rumors are violently swirling in the exclusive VIP clubs of Los Angeles that a massive streaming giant has offered a blank check to produce a high-budget, avant-garde dance film, granting Jimin full creative control to choreograph and star in a project that would essentially bridge the gap between Broadway theatricality and blockbuster cinema. The Western industry is terrified because they have never encountered an artist who commands the stage with such a terrifying sensual precision, someone who can literally make a stadium of 100,000 people hold their breath simply by slowly removing his jacket or performing a blindfolded contemporary routine. Let us not forget the emotional weight of his journey, the man who is known as the deeply empathetic angel of BTS, the one who physically held his members when they cried, who constantly doubts his own immense talent, despite being worshipped as a global deity of performance. Hollywood executives are obsessed with this narrative. They see a man whose vulnerability is his greatest superpower, an artist who bleeds his soul onto the stage until he collapses behind the curtains. In 2026, the whisper networks of the elite are buzzing with tales of top-tier Hollywood actresses and supermodels completely losing their composure at exclusive galas just trying to secure a brief conversation with him, stunned by his impeccable manners and his breathtaking real-life aura. He is a walking piece of priceless art, and the entire Western world is desperately trying to acquire him. Will Park Jimin accept the legendary cinematic roles being thrown at his feet and completely redefine the modern Hollywood leading man with his graceful, fluid masculinity? Will he drop another solo album that entirely monopolizes the global charts, leaving Western pop stars scrambling to delay their own releases to avoid competing with his unstoppable momentum? Or is he currently hidden away in a private dance studio in Seoul, barefoot and sweating, relentlessly perfecting a new gravity-defying choreography that would again remind the world why he is the untouchable, ethereal king of the stage? The industry is shaking, the contracts are being drafted with unbelievable numbers, and the world is helplessly entranced by the beautiful, terrifying reign of Park Jimin. Number 2. V, the visual masterpiece, a cinematic enigma. When we talk about an aura that completely paralyzes the room, an intoxicating blend of old Hollywood glamour and gritty modern-day danger, the entire Western entertainment hemisphere immediately surrenders to Kim Tae-young. Welcome to 2026, where the man universally known as V is currently the epicenter of a multi-billion-dollar tug-of-war that is literally tearing the global film and fashion industries apart. To truly understand the sheer panic and desperation of A-list celebrities and legendary directors trying to secure just 5 minutes of his time, we have to take a deeply emotional, tear-jerking look back at the secret weapon of BTS. Imagine a young, innocent farm boy from Gyeochang, raised by his beloved grandmother, a boy who thought his ultimate destiny was simply to cultivate the land and live a quiet life. This is the same boy who was kept hidden from the public eye as the group's secret weapon until the very last moment, forced to watch his brothers interact with fans while he stood in the shadows, waiting for his turn to shine. Fast forward to today, and that once hidden boy possesses the most mathematically perfect, globally worshipped face on the planet, armed with a soulful, deep baritone voice that sounds like aged whiskey and heartbreak. The emotional whiplash of his journey is precisely what has Hollywood scriptwriters completely losing their minds. Following his highly publicized, intensely grueling military service in the Elite Special Duty Team, SDT, a counterterrorism unit that requires peak physical and psychological resilience, Tae-young returned to the civilian world not just as a pop star, but as a literal, certified action hero. The duality is terrifying to Western executives. How can a man who flawlessly models delicate, avant-garde haute couture also possess the lethal tactical training of a special forces operative? This unprecedented combination has triggered an absolute bloodbath among the biggest cinematic universes in Hollywood. We are talking about billion-dollar franchises. Think the masterminds behind James Bond, Marvel, and elite neo-noir thrillers, sending encrypted, top-secret scripts directly to his personal management, bypassing standard agency protocols entirely. They are begging, offering blank checks and unprecedented creative control, desperately trying to cast him as the ultimate morally ambiguous anti-hero or the brooding, dangerously seductive leading man. They remember his acting debut in Hwarang, where he effortlessly stole the hearts of millions, and they know his emotional range has only deepened with time and life experience. A highly reliable industry insider recently leaked that an Oscar-winning director, known for his visually breathtaking, psychologically complex masterpieces, actually threatened to scrap an entire $200 million project if he couldn't secure Tae-young for the lead role, stating that no Western actor possesses that specific, unteachable gaze, a stare that can convey agonizing sorrow, terrifying emptiness, and burning passion all within a single silent second. But the madness doesn't stop at the silver screen. The global fashion conglomerates are currently engaged in a vicious, cutthroat war that makes royal successions look like child's play. While Celine and Cartier famously crowned him as their ultimate global face, the 2026 post-enlistment era has seen rival heritage brands literally breaking their own century-old rules to steal him away. There are rumors of luxury empires offering him not just ambassador titles, but his own standalone, eponymous fashion labels fully funded by their parent companies, just to harness his untouchable, effortless V aesthetic. Western pop icons and supermodels are caught on camera at exclusive galas, literally shivering and losing their media-trained composure when he walks into the room, mesmerized by his innate ability to make a vintage, thrifted jazz suit look more expensive than the entire Met Gala red carpet combined. And let us delve into the music, because the Western jazz and soul elite are practically weeping at his doorstep. Following the critically acclaimed release of his solo album, Layover, which masterfully blended nostalgic R&B with raw, unfiltered acoustic vulnerability, legendary American music producers realized that Tae-young is the reincarnation of classic mid-century musical royalty. Imagine the biggest, most respected names in the global jazz scene, artists who usually scoff at modern pop music, publicly stating that Kim Tae-young is the only contemporary artist capable of reviving the golden age of soul.
There is currently a massive bidding war among elite Las Vegas residencies and iconic venues like the Royal Albert Hall, desperately trying to lock him down for exclusive unplugged jazz sets, offering numbers so astronomically high they're forcing casinos to restructure their annual budgets. He has single-handedly made classical jazz cool again for an entire generation, a feat that millions of dollars in Western music marketing completely failed to achieve. He is the ultimate unpredictable wild card. He is a man who can accidentally break international server records just by posting a blurry 3-second video of his dog, Yongtan, or by sharing his beautiful, moody photography under the pseudonym Vante, yet deliberately ignores the most powerful CEOs in Hollywood because he would rather spend his afternoon visiting a quiet, unknown art exhibition or playing the saxophone in his living room. He operates on Taeyong time, a completely different dimension of existence where the frantic, greedy rules of the Western entertainment machine simply do not apply to him. Western celebrities are currently hiring specialized consultants to help them curate their Instagram feeds to look more like his, trying to artificially manufacture that spontaneous, romantic, film camera vibe, only to fail miserably because authenticity cannot be bought. The sheer emotional weight of his global impact is staggering. He is a man who loves so deeply, who treats his friends in the famous Wooga Squad like family, and who looks at his fans with a genuine, tear-filled adoration that cannot be faked. As we stand here in 2026, watching billionaires and movie moguls sweat through their bespoke suits waiting for his reply, we are forced to ask the most thrilling questions in pop culture history. Will Kim Tae-young step onto a Hollywood film set and completely obliterate the Western standard of the cinematic leading man with his devastating, multifaceted gaze? Will he release a full-length orchestral jazz album that sweeps the Grammys and forces the entire music industry to slow down and actually feel something deeply profound again? Or is he currently driving a vintage convertible along a hidden coastal road, completely untouched by the global hysteria, simply waiting for the perfect moment to break the internet all over again? The world is desperately holding its breath for the cinematic enigma, and the absolute truth is, it's Kim Tae-young's universe, and Hollywood is just begging to live in it.
Number 1. Jungkook, the golden pop titan, an unstoppable global empire. When the history books of the 21st century are finally written, there will be an entire chapter dedicated exclusively to the catastrophic, industry-shattering impact of Jungkook. We have officially arrived at the absolute pinnacle of global superstardom, the undisputed reigning king of the modern music era. And in the year 2026, the entire Western entertainment machine is essentially operating on his terms, completely paralyzed by his every move. To truly comprehend the absolute hysteria, the blank checks, and the literal boardroom screaming matches happening in Los Angeles right now over this man, we must take a deeply emotional, tear-jerking look back at a 15-year-old boy from Busan with big, starry-eyed doe eyes. Imagine a painfully shy teenager who was fiercely scouted by 7 different major entertainment agencies, yet chose a struggling, nearly bankrupt company simply because he was completely mesmerized by the underground rapping of Kim Namjoon. This is the boy who used to wait until his older members fell asleep just so he could shower without being seen. The boy who famously wept not because training was too hard, but because he saw his Hyung suffering and felt utterly helpless. He poured that profound, agonizing empathy into his solo track, Begin, and from that raw vulnerability, the universe forged an unstoppable, impenetrable titan known as the Golden Maknae. Fast forward to the present day, and that shy kid has mutated into the ultimate, terrifyingly perfect weapon of mass cultural domination. We are not just talking about a successful K-pop idol. The Western media and legendary music critics have definitively crowned him the reincarnation of the ultimate global pop royalty, drawing heavy, unironic comparisons to the undisputed legends of the 20th century. The sheer panic within the American music industry is palpable because Jungkook has completely hijacked the title of main pop boy and refuses to give it back. Following the monumental, record-obliterating success of his solo album Golden, where he effortlessly swallowed Western pop, R&D, and retro funk whole with tracks like Seven and Standing Next to You, the biggest, most ruthless producers in Hollywood, men who dictate the Billboard charts, realized that their entire roster of Western artists was suddenly obsolete. We are talking about legendary producers flying commercial, camping outside Hybe America, and aggressively fighting each other in studio lobbies just to hand Jungkook a USB drive containing their best beats. In 2026, following his rigorous military enlistment, where he reportedly served in a physically demanding artillery unit, he returned to the civilian world radiating an aura of lethal, mature masculinity that caused international servers to literally crash upon his first public appearance. The rumors currently tearing through the sports and entertainment world are absolutely mind-bending. Deeply entrenched insiders claim that the NFL executives and primary sponsors of the Super Bowl halftime show are essentially on their knees, bypassing all standard negotiation protocols to offer his management unprecedented, limitless production budgets. They know that putting Jungkook on that 50-yard line wouldn't just guarantee a domestic rating spike, it would permanently break global television broadcasting records, forcing the entire planet to stop and watch him command the stage. But the desperation of Hollywood goes far deeper than just live performances. Top-tier Western pop divas, the absolute reigning queens of the industry, are allegedly delaying their own highly anticipated comeback albums, aggressively instructing their legal teams to secure a Jungkook feature at any conceivable cost. They know that even a 5-second breathy ad-lib from his angelic, flawlessly stable tenor voice guarantees an instant, immovable debut at #1 on the Hot 100. And let us discuss the violent, bloodthirsty arena of high fashion and luxury endorsements. When he casually stripped down for Calvin Klein, he didn't just break the internet, he caused the brand's parent company stock to surge to terrifying heights, selling out global inventories in mere seconds and crashing websites worldwide. Now, in 2026, rival mega brands and conglomerate luxury houses are attempting to orchestrate the biggest corporate poaching in fashion history, reportedly offering him massive equity stakes and multi-billion-dollar lifetime contracts just to wear his denim or hold their fragrances. They are desperately trying to bottle his intoxicating blend of heavily tattooed, lip-pierced grunge rebellion and his utterly devastating boy-next-door charm. Yet the absolute most maddening, completely incomprehensible fact for the greedy, ego-driven Hollywood elite is that Jungkook simply does not care about their money or their desperate Hollywood social climbing. The duality of this man is a psychological phenomenon that Western public relations experts cannot manufacture and cannot control. How do you negotiate with a billionaire global titan whose idea of a perfect night is not attending a star-studded red carpet Beverly Hills gala, but rather staying up until 4 a.m. in his Seoul apartment, drinking cheap beer, eating midnight snacks, folding his laundry on a Weverse live stream, and singing karaoke for his millions of fans with the pure, unadulterated joy of a rookie busker? He is completely immune to the venomous allure of Western celebrity culture. He still bows a full 90 degrees to rookie staff members. He still cries overwhelming tears of gratitude when he reads letters from Army. And he still views himself as just a guy who got lucky, despite possessing a level of raw, supernatural talent that only graces the earth once in a century. He is an absolute anomaly, a powerhouse who can perform exhaustingly intricate choreography live in the pouring rain without missing a single pitch, who can direct cinematic masterpieces, box like a professional athlete, and then turn around and pout because he misses his Doberman Bam.
As we stand breathless in 2026, watching the entire Western Hemisphere scramble, fight, and bleed just to catch a fraction of his golden stardust, we are left with the most exhilarating, terrifying realization in modern pop culture. Will Jungkook accept the Super Bowl stage and definitively cement his status as the greatest entertainer alive? Will he drop a sophomore, self-produced album that entirely rewrites the sonic architecture of the 2020s? Or is he currently fast asleep on his couch, completely unaware that the entire world is violently shaking at his feet? The era of the Golden Empire is not just here, it is absolute, it is eternal, and Jungkook is sitting alone on a throne that no one else in history could ever hope to claim.